Hey sweet people, and welcome back to my channel. Or if it is your first time here, I just want to take a second to say thank you especially for stopping by. I'm Sally and it means a lot that you are here. Today, as you can tell by the title, we are going to be diving into the question, am I ovulating? How to figure out whether or not you are ovulating. Ovulation, as some would say, is the fifth vital sign. It really is crucial to our overall health and well-being, especially when it comes to our hormone cycles. Not to mention, if you ever want even the possibility of getting pregnant, of having a baby, you need to be ovulating, or it's something we need to be working towards if it's not happening, because if an egg is not present, which is what is occurring at the time of ovulation, you are not going to be able to get pregnant. It's also really important because of progesterone. Ovulation is going to kind of spur the production of progesterone, which is really crucial again to that hormone health and to also keeping estrogen, our other sex hormones, as a whole balanced out. It is crazy windy outside. I don't know if you can hear that, but if there is any noise in the background, that's probably what it is. So let's talk about what we need to look for in order to determine whether or not ovulation is occurring. So I guess most obviously something to bear in mind is if you are getting your period every month, that is a good sign. However, you can still get a monthly bleed without ovulation occurring for a number of different reasons, which we're not going to get into in this video. So it really is worthwhile to use these other methods to see whether or not you actually are ovulating and whether or not you are having a strong ovulation at that. So the first thing we can do, which I think every single woman should be doing, is tracking our basal body temperature. So our cycle is broken up into about 4 different parts, or exactly 4 different parts, and I am going to get into that next week, so make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you can see that video. But part of that cycle is going to be your ovulatory phase, and then after that you're going to move into what we call the luteal phase, and that ovulatory phase is that kind of fertile window, and that time leading up to when your egg is going to be released. So after ovulation occurs, that egg is released, what we're going to see, as I hinted at a minute ago, is going to be an increase in progesterone, because the follicle where that egg came from is going to start producing progesterone, which again, super important to your health and also super important to a successful pregnancy if that is ever something you are looking to achieve. So what we can do is kind of monitor whether or not we are seeing an increase in progesterone in our cycle in order to determine whether or not that ovulation has occurred. And basal body temperature will be affected by that progesterone increase, because at the end of our ovulatory phase, as we just go into that luteal phase, we should see our temperature increase rather notably. So if this is something you're charting, we can see it rise usually by about 0.3 above where it has stayed, or at least the highest point of where it's been for our follicular and our ovulatory phases, that first part of the cycle. And so by noticing that that temperature does increase, and also that that temperature stays high until your next period confirms that ovulation has occurred, and also, you know, that your progesterone levels are high enough to keep that temperature up there. So now we get into the nitty-gritty of how do we actually track our basal body temperature. So really all you're going to need is a thermometer, a good basal body thermometer. You can find one at your local drugstore. I can link one from Amazon in the description box. How this is going to work if you are using a standard thermometer. We need to take our temperature every morning right when we wake up, ideally at a pretty consistent time in order to get accurate results. And around 5 to 6 a.m. is probably going to be best, again, on that early side. We need to leave the thermometer under our tongues for ideally at least 5 minutes to get the most accurate reading possible. And again, what we should see is that after ovulation occurs, that temperature goes up from where it is at the start of your cycle. And so in order to do this, we do need to be tracking for at least a full month, or at least, you know, at the start of your period, we'll say, in order order to see that increase, to have that reference point. So yeah, that's the first tool. It's just a standard basal body thermometer. I actually do not use this option. Reason being, it can be really difficult with my work schedule to actually use a real thermometer or a regular thermometer, because I'm waking up at all different times throughout the week. Some days I'm literally waking up at 3:30, and then for good reason, any chance I get, I am sleeping in as late, as possible, which usually is no later than 8 a.m. But for my sanity and for my health, I'm not going to be forcing myself to wake up early on the days that I get to sleep, and on the days that I have to wake up earlier than would be ideal to take my temperature. That just wouldn't work at all. So I use something that I've talked about before. I actually have a full review video on it, which I will link here. I encourage y'all to check out, but it is called the Temp Drop. I'll take it out of its little cover here, but it is a basal body thermometer that you can actually wear right on your arm as you sleep, and it is a total godsend. Probably my favorite product, especially when it comes to just female health in the whole wide world, because you put it in its armband. This is kind of a secondary armband that I purchased. You put it in its armband, and then you are just going to wear it when you go to bed. And as long as I believe it's 3 hours that you have it on and that you are asleep, you should get an accurate reading in the morning. It does take some time to learn your body, but it is a really awesome tool. And the other part that is so great is that it is going to sync up into an app, and it will show you in that app where your temperature increases, just graphically. So you can keep it all in that one place, and you don't even have to pull out a pen and paper if you don't want to pull out a pen and paper. And then the next tool I want to talk about is kind of taking it a step further. So maybe you have been tracking your temperatures and you're a little bit confused, or you feel like progesterone levels aren't exactly where you want them to be, or you're just looking for a little bit more confirmation, something concrete. Well, I have recently tried out this device. It is called the Anito Fertility Monitor, and this is something that you actually put on your phone, and it is a hormone test. It can test ovulation directly, but it's also testing so all of your sex hormones, estrogen, progesterone, LH, and FSH. And it will provide a graph for you as you take those hormone levels at different points throughout the month to confirm, that hormones are rising as they should, and that ovulation has actually occurred. So literally, you're just peeing in a cup, putting a stick in a cup, and then you are putting this device on your phone, plugging that stick into it, and then it's going to tell you kind of what your hormone levels are, it's going to tell you what your hormone levels are, and as you do it as specified, it will literally tell you whether or not ovulation has actually occurred. So this is another product that I've also done a review video on. I find it very helpful, genuinely, as someone who wants to see my hormone levels, and for anyone, especially if you are trying to conceive anytime soon, it can be really helpful for doing the same thing. And I actually have a code for this that will give you 15% off. So I'm going to link that in the description box, and I will attach the review video here if you want to get the full, in-depth explanation of how this thing works and what it does. And then for Temp Drop 2, actually, I do have a 10% off discount code. Again, probably my favorite tool in my toolbox when it comes to female health. So I will link that all in the description box, including that just standard basal body thermometer. I also encourage you to check out my videos on, birth control, or rather non-hormonal birth control options, how to track your cycle in more depth if you're interested in this type of thing. But that's it, just a short, sweet video talking about how to confirm ovulation. Please don't hesitate to let me know if you have any questions in the comments section. Until next time, bye y'all.